Now, I do want to thank the North Carolina Agribusiness Council for their sponsorship of this whole event here today. So join me in thanking the Agribusiness Council. Erica, are you here? There she is. And John Ash, the president. Thank you both for being here and for your sponsorship of this event. I'm grateful that you're here today, and there are a few words that I need to say, and I hope this presentation has re-energized everybody today. There is hope and optimism out there. I do believe this will be the year that we turn things around, and we've heard bad news for so many years now that it's, it's hard to even imagine good news, but we've heard it here today. We have opportunities ahead. Feeding a world population that is growing so rapidly is a real opportunity, and the trick to it is to position North Carolina to take advantage of this and help them meet the challenges that they have in the future. We've tried our best to help farmers get through the rough times so that they can be in a position to produce the food and fiber and fuel for the world as demand grows. When I said hardship, I should have said extreme hardship. And I know in all of my years in agriculture, I've never seen anything quite like it. And nothing but our farmers' perseverance and hard work has got them through it. Sean talked about the farm bankruptcies going up, and I mean, I think anybody could have seen that coming. I think the figures were that we had 16 here in North Carolina, but it could have been much, much worse than that. So we're just thankful that we've gotten this far and we have no more damage to the ag economy than we have. The world counts on farmers, and we've got a challenge to meet, and I think we will have to meet that challenge. And I've said it many times, it's not only an economic opportunity, but a moral obligation, and I'm gonna say it one more time. Hungry people are mean people. We've got to feed the world, there's no question about it, and we will do that. There are going to be a lot of steps along the way. We've got to have good policy, certainly. I hope to have my force field in action at some time in the future, and we need a break with the weather, there's no question about it. We have invested in farmers in North Carolina, and from helping keep them afloat through the bad times to the future. And I think I saw something happen that was almost unprecedented with the Ag Disaster Relief Program that the legislature approved. Not only did they approve the $240 million, but it was a unanimous vote all the way through the process, and the governor signed it. Now think about the politically charged environment that we live in. How many times does that happen? So I think this was a watershed moment for North Carolina. I know we've got legislators here today, and I want to personally thank you on the behalf of agriculture in North Carolina for what you did. Join me in giving them a round of applause. After the measure was approved, I think the hard part began. To just put it in perspective, we had 7,700 applications from 77 different counties in North Carolina that were declared either federal or secretarial disasters. 77 out of 100 counties, so we were spread thin in the beginning of this program. And this was not something, there was some template out there to do. And we sat down and designed a program that we thought would be effective, efficient, and importantly, very quickly administered. I think we accomplished that. Week before last, I honored 160 department employees who worked tirelessly to get these checks out to farmers. And I'm proud to say that last Friday, the last of the cleanup checks went out. So I think we've done our job. I think we've done it well. And this, I think, will be the thing that does get us into the future to be successful. I said there were 160 people that worked in this, and if you can imagine having to design the IT program, to get this done. We had to have a lot of partners to help us across the state. Certainly our federal partners at FSA who helped provide the information that we needed, to Extension, to our farm organizations, to our commodity groups. So it was a big task, but one that we took on as a state, and we made it work. These funds, I think, and I have been told over and over again, are the reason that a lot of farm families are not bankrupt, and they're not looking for something else to do. I can't thank my department employees enough for what they've done. The Farmland Preservation staff actually led the effort to get the checks out and administer the program. DeWitt Hardy and his staff worked tirelessly. We never quit doing our day jobs to do this. We worked overtime, we worked night and day, the dedication was there, and it just proves what I've always said. These people are the best in the nation, and once again, they have stood up and proved it. Join me in thanking the Department of Agriculture staff for what they've done. These payments didn't even come close to the amount of damage we suffered just from Hurricane Florence and Michael. That damage was actually about $1.2 billion. So the 240 did get us from point A to point B, but there's a lot left on the table out there that we've got to recover. Today is the day to start that recovery. The investment in agriculture in North Carolina didn't stop there, though. We've seen continued investment into things that I think will make the future of agriculture bright in the state. From the North Carolina Food Innovation Lab in Kannapolis, the Plant Science Initiative at NC State University, and the construction of the Agricultural Science Center here in Raleigh, which replaces 5 labs that we have that are over 40 years old. And if you get the chance to go up Edwards Mill to the corner of Reedy Creek, you will see this lab and the things it's going to do for North Carolina into the future. We look at this as a 40 to 50 year investment in agriculture in North Carolina. And if you think of the things that we do with these labs, from animal health, food safety, motor fuels, metrology, all these things we do. So it's important. And these labs will go a long way to help us in the future. And we've got to have research. Agricultural research is what has brought us to where we are today, from being subsistence farmers to feeding over 155 people per farmer now. But that's not enough. The thing that I see is when you invest $1 in agricultural research, there's a $19 return on that in economic impact. As a business person, I would do that every day, and I hope people understand how important this is really going to be. We have passed the 50% complete mark on our lab here in Raleigh, and when you go in it, there is a wow factor to it. It's absolutely amazing. So we look forward to cutting the ribbon on that and being able to move into it sometime November, December of next year. I mentioned improvements, but I want to touch on some of the signs that point to the better days ahead, and I want to talk a little bit about my vision for the future. We talked about the trade deals here this morning. I think that is a great step forward, but we can't catch a break. The coronavirus that has hit China has kind of slowed things down. But we've got to keep pushing forward to make sure these trade deals are enforced and we take full advantage of them. Opening up Mexico and Canada once again to the advantage of agriculture is huge. So we're looking at our number 1, 2, and 3 trade partners in North Carolina that we now have really good trade agreements with. We have a bilateral agreement with Japan, with England pulling out of the European Union. We have a strong relationship with England already from North Carolina, especially with sweet potatoes. We want to be poised to get other products into England and take advantage of what can be there. So all of this is going to be really, really good. And this morning I noted that tobacco was actually in that trade agreement. That is so, so important to have it in writing, that China intends to purchase more tobacco from North Carolina. And I've been criticized in some instances for putting so many eggs in one basket in China. But in the case of tobacco, there was not any other basket to put the eggs into because the demand was there, and there's not that demand anywhere else in the world. So we think that this will be a way forward. You saw the other products included in this. Certainly pork and poultry will benefit. So we're poised to move ahead and to be really good. Sweet potatoes remain a strong commodity in North Carolina. We believe there's room for more growth in different areas of the world. We're going to work hard on that. One of the things that has changed, though, is we have to do phytosanitary inspections of all of the export products that go to the European Union now. Just in 1 month, we've done 340 phytosanitary certificates going to Europe. There are many countries that will require this, and there's some unfortunate things that have happened, and we've got some bumps ahead in the department because of the lack of a budget. The vetoed budget has meant that the additional staff that I had in this budget are not there. We desperately need them, but we had staff for these phytosanitary inspections, to do hemp inspections. We had staff for soil and water to work on cleaning the waterways out in North Carolina. We had positions for emergency programs for disaster recovery. We had firefighting positions. One thing that is desperately needed is remodeling the nematode lab and additional nematologists and technicians there because of the Java root knot nematode that we have in sweet potatoes. So none of this is materialized, and quite frankly, we're going to have to go forward and ask the General Assembly for a ag budget, mini budget, to be able to get some of these things done. But maybe even worst of all, this big new lab that I've been talking about that we want to cut the ribbon on in October, the move-in money and the money for equipment and furniture is in that budget that's vetoed. So if we don't get some movement there, what I'm going to have in October is a really nice picnic shelter. Not a lab because we don't have the furniture and we've got to move very high-end equipment. We can't box it in a cardboard box and put it in the back of a pickup. It's got to be properly moved and then recalibrated before we can go to work. So all of these are going to be bumps in the road that we're going to have to deal with. And one of the things that is really important for North Carolina is how we handle water. We've been talking about cleaning the waterways in North Carolina out, getting the snags out. Sounds like a simple process, but it's not. It's difficult. We're working with NRCS on a pilot program for North Carolina so that we can speed this process up. And what we've discovered is some of it is bureaucratic paperwork. But in a lot of cases, these counties that are small, that have been damaged so badly, simply don't have the resources to be able to handle this program and become a sponsor. So we are working with partners right now to figure out how do we get the resources to these counties so that they can make application and be the sponsor of these things that we need to happen. We're going to try to break through that very, very quickly. You heard Dr. Brown talk about hemp. There is considerable interest in North Carolina. In fact, it's been explosive. We've got over 1,400 licensed growers, 989 registered processors, and as of mid-January, we've got over 17,500 acres of land for hemp production and 6.9 million square feet of greenhouse space. All of this is dedicated to hemp production. Now, we've been working this past legislative session to try to get some hemp legislation moved through the Farm Act, and it's been contentious, and it's been very difficult to get what we need moved forward. But we're going to keep working on that because we do need a North Carolina program in place to be able to be successful with growing hemp. But USDA has come out with their proposed rules for hemp production, and what we see is an experienced state in growing hemp and an experienced Department of Agriculture in the regulatory process. We simply cannot meet those guidelines. The testing procedures are way too stringent, and there's so many things that would just keep us as a department from doing our job as we see it needs to be done. So that is going to be a continuing discussion. I think there are 39 states that have filed some paperwork with USDA telling them that we can't do this. It just won't work. The National Association of State Departments of Agriculture has already gone on record with what these states are saying. And so far, the states that have been approved for a federal program are the ones that did not have a program before and really don't understand the rigors that are involved in trying to do this. So stay tuned, and we're going to do our best to move forward on this. I said it's a new year, it's a new decade. I do believe that we have reason to be optimistic and to work hard. We're going to maintain being the #1 industry in North Carolina. I have had a goal for several years now of us being a $100 billion industry by 2020. It's 2020. It's time. Do I think we could get there this year? I certainly do. Forecasts for the pork and poultry industry that could lead to growth are huge for us, and I think things are falling into place. And I have a little secret, that $91.8 billion number that is out there now, the number stayed two years behind, so it actually will be about 2022 before we know if 2020 was the year, and I think it will be. So I thank all of you for being here today. Joe mentioned the quote that I used that I saw recently: the past is a place of learning, not for living. The past is gone, the future is before us, we're going to take full advantage of it. I said at the beginning that there are strong challenges ahead, but we've seen challenges at farmers every year. As a farmer, I've never seen a perfect year and very few smooth years. We've got to be adaptable, and we've got to be resilient and determined and dynamic. That we will do. We've been shaken, but we've not been broken, and we won't be broken. I believe the better days are ahead, and we're going to work in the department as hard as we can to help agriculture attain first this $100 billion mark, and then to move forward from there. Thank you again for being here today. I think there's been a world of good information put out here. Thank everybody for the partnerships, and I'm looking forward to 2020's growing season.